Let's do it. Let's do it. The much anticipated episode 19. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Erin. I'm from a small town called Buren in Newfoundland, and now I live in Toronto, and I offer online mindfulness services on a global scale. I come from a long line of ancestors of Irish and English farmers, fishers, and miners who didn't always have a chance to speak up. And, ever since I was born, I always knew that I wanted to get into the business of amplifying voices of people that I love. And every day I wake up and I ask myself this question: what makes me feel alive? And always, 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 the answer is connecting with folks who've aligned themselves with their own healing abilities. And so that's what Inspiring Insights is all about. It's a space to share the passions of wellness providers, coaches, practitioners, other folks in this space, hearing their stories alongside fans and audience members just like you. So Inspiring Insights is a show brought to you by Reawaken Co., which is an online education platform that I formed last year, focused on connecting folks to the right natural wellness practitioner so that they don't get lost in, the current patriarchal, disempowering, broken system that we're in right now. I see you nodding your head there, Jill. Thanks.
Sing it, lady. You got it.
Yeah. Now, doing the work of decolonization and shedding ingrained oppression, which I was just telling Jill about, can be hard and really heavy to do. And it's also very important to do. And that's why it's important to have a good support network of wellness professionals behind you. So I'm so excited to get more into Jill's emotional self-care topic today. And drop a little wave in the comments. Hi, everyone. Hi, Marissa, for introducing yourself. I love seeing everyone pop in, saying hello, listening in. And for everyone who's watching the replay, please know that we feel you as well. We feel your energy, and we're happy that you have come and shared your energy here with us in circle with us tonight. So hands up, everyone, for our new presidential team, to our neighbors in the South. Just wanted to quickly plug congrats and a welcome to President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris before we get started on this episode today. Okay, so who is Jill Ferras? Who do we have on tonight? Jill healed her own anxiety attack. Crazy, crazy. We're going to get into that. But okay, so she healed her anxiety and her depression using holistic techniques and energy medicine. So Jill's goal is to support and empower others along their life journey of personal growth, exploration, and self-healing. Jill creates a personalized and supportive one-on-one space for her clients where they can release unwanted emotions and design a life of peace and abundance. Now, Jill, you're an accredited emotional freedom technique practitioner with EFT International. She's also a 500-hour certified yoga teacher, teaching locally here in the Toronto area and internationally with Moto Yoga, and has completed foundations training in BioField tuning, and is currently a student of Eden Energy Medicine, which we're going to learn more all about those beautiful techniques. So, Jill, you've also been a full-time primary care paramedic for the past 17 years. So I really love your story because as a paramedic, she's seen firsthand the negative impacts of neglecting the body and the mind. And her real-life experiences through paramedicine really solidified for her the need to balance so much more than just our physical bodies. So your personal experiences, of healing, your additional studies in energy medicine, they're all beautiful complements to helping your clients really achieve that actual balance of mind, body, and soul that we all seek. So I really appreciate you sharing even a little bit that through your bio, and I'm so excited to get more into this. And of course, when we have balance on all those three levels, then we're truly living our most authentic life. So, wow, Jill, welcome.
Thank you.
You are an incredible human being, and I don't even know where to start. Let's maybe begin with, telling us a little bit more about yourself and how you made it here right now.
Yeah. So, well, like you said, I've been a paramedic for the last 17 years working in the GTA area. And it was great. It's super fulfilling. It taught me so much about myself. It taught me a lot about people, a lot about the human body. But you also, when you do any type of work, you start to notice patterns. And what I started to notice was, people would have these complaints. They would have diagnoses, various things, and they were put on medication. And as you take a history of somebody and you ask them and you talk to them about what they've experienced, they say, oh, I've been a diabetic for 30 years, or I've had high blood pressure for 10 years. And nobody ever seems to recover from these diagnoses that they have. And, and then you see the progression of the disease, right? You see the diabetes turn into hypertension and then renal failure. And then you see them on dialysis, and then you see them getting chronic infections and losing limbs. And it's like, oh my God, like at what point, who dropped the ball where, because you certainly didn't get better. Basically, they just managed your symptoms and kind of said, well, sorry, deal with it. And I'm like, that's so awful, because you see their quality of life. Like they have none, like these people who are on dialysis and they just, are hooked up to a machine like 3 to 5 days a week. It's horrible. And, they'll say to you, they're like, this is awful. Like, I don't want to live anymore. And it's like, oh, it's heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. So, yeah, those were the patterns I started to see. People with diagnoses, on medications, and nothing changed. If anything, it got worse. I was like, oh my God, like, I don't want that for me. And I certainly don't want that for my family. And then as the universe would have it, then it brought me my own little, experience of, mental health and what that looked like in my own trauma. And then the fallout of like anxiety and depression from that. And because I had already experienced, from the paramedicine side of things, of how the current healthcare model deals with mental health, which is basically give it a pill and be on your way, I was like, no, thank you. Like that wasn't even something I was going to entertain.
Right.
So I didn't, bad on me. I didn't have a full-time mental health practitioner in my circle at that time. And that was a little bit of a setback because those people are not super duper available when you need them. So I had like a 2-week waiting period before I could get in to see the psychologist. And I finally did. And, we got talking and I told her what happened. And she's like, oh, we should be able to have this cleared up in like 8 to 10 sessions. And I was like, great. Like, can we start? So I like went and I saw her and I would sit down for my 1 hour and, I would talk and, like I left and I'm like, I don't feel any different. Like, when's the part that like you help me feel better and you help me work on my shit? So that was kind of discouraging. And, I guess being my stubborn self, I was like, okay, well, we got to add something new into the mix here. So, I tried the supplements. I was supporting myself on that aspect. I tried hypnosis. That worked a little bit. But at this point, I was probably like 2 months in and my body was so wound up that it needed something quite effective and something that really resonated.
Yeah.
So a really interesting thing happens when you get desperate is you'll do just about anything to feel better. So I was at home and I subscribed to a bunch of wellness forums. And an email came across my computer one day and it said tapping for anxiety. And I was like, oh my God, perfect. So I clicked on the link and I watched the video and I followed along. And it was like, it's a repeat after me kind of a thing. And she, after a few tapping rounds, she asked me to take a breath. I took a breath and she's like, notice how you feel. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I feel better. I have no idea what I just did, but I don't care at this point because I feel better. And that's all I wanted. I was so desperate just to make the palpitations go away and make this feeling of like a vice go away. And the like mind, the monkey mind that doesn't stop. It's like 1,000,000 miles an hour. I was desperate to make it all go away because I was at a point in my journey where I was ready to like smoke weed like every day, all day, or I was ready to drink until my heart's content. Like I needed something. I just needed somebody to like hit me over the head, like knock me out and make this stop. But luckily the tapping email came across my screen first. And and I dove down that rabbit hole because it felt so good. It was something that I could do myself. I didn't have to, well, I did eventually end up reaching out to somebody to do a little bit more like in-depth personal work on my shit, on my stuff. Mm-hmm. And it just, I loved it because I could do it whenever. I didn't have to wait for a session with Susan to work on my stuff. She helped me work on the really big, like Mount Everest mountains. But when the little things came, I knew what I needed to do for me. And that was so empowering. And then from there, it was just like this beautiful relationship. And I was like, I need to learn how to do this. Like, I really, really need to learn how to do this so that I can help myself more. So I invested in myself and I did the training, and the rest is kind of history.
Wow. Thank you for sharing it. And I mean, for folks listening as well, I'm sure they resonate right now. It's not easy to like pull yourself out of that rut, right? When you're in that anxiety rut or that depression rut, you know, it's not just as simple as like, oh, I'm going to call it my psychotherapist or my psychologist, and just even getting to the sessions are hard, right? So I appreciate that you shared, you know, that you went to those sessions and you still weren't feeling better, and you had that awareness to say that to yourself, you know, and actually keep trying. And that's often, you know, a really big point is that not often do people keep trying.
Yeah. It's a very dark rabbit hole to go down when you're in that. And, you know, you think you're the only one who's ever felt this way and ever experienced it. And it's like, I actually did get to a point and I was like, well, I guess this is just like what happens, you know, stuff happens in your life and it doesn't correct itself. So I guess I'll feel like this for the rest of my life. I did have those thoughts, you know, and I'm very happy that, you know, the tool came across my computer and showed me otherwise. But I could see how, if you don't have access or you're not open to the alternative, how it would be very simple just to keep taking the pills and keep taking more of the pills. And then when that pill doesn't work well, I'm going to give you another one. It's very easy to go down that road. So I'm happy that didn't happen for me.
I'm happy too. And that you're here with us to tell the tale. Now, you mentioned tapping, and for folks who aren't aware, tapping is kind of like another name for emotional freedom technique. So maybe, Jill, we can talk a little bit more about what emotional freedom technique is, and then we'll talk about some of the other modalities that you use.
Absolutely. So EFT, more commonly known as tapping, it's a combination of psychotherapy, talk therapy, and acupressure points. So it's been around since about the 70s. It was created by a guy named Gary Craig. And it's a very simple technique where we create a dialogue about what we feel. And then we tap along the meridian points and we talk about what we feel. So it's not so much the words. We really need to learn to drop into and lean into ourselves, allowing ourselves to feel that uncomfortable emotion. And it's kind of very, it's weird at first if you're not used to it, because we're tapping on, you know, all of this anxiety, all of this guilt, all of this shame, you know, whatever it is that's coming up, pain. We tap on the negative, because that's the thing that we want to acknowledge, because when we acknowledge it and we tap, we release it out of the energy body. So people are like, you know, oh, I want to stay positive and I want to do all these positive affirmations. And I'm like, that's great. But if you still believe way down in your soul that you are this shameful, awful human being, we have to deal with that first. Like, we can't just put a layer of, you know, nice, healthy flowers on top of the dead ones. We got to get rid of the dead ones. Right. And then we have a beautiful vase to fill it with this beautiful bouquet, which, you know, we are. But we all have stuff that we believe about ourselves that isn't the most positive. And that's okay. We all have it. It can be shifted because it was just something that you learned at some point in your life. Or it was something that was handed down to you, you know, from an ancestral lineage. And it's all very changeable. Right.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Wow. And what you're speaking of. Yeah, it's great. So what you're speaking of is, you know, bringing that process, that psychological process, you know, the thought process, those beliefs, those core patterns in us, that, you know, mostly we tend to develop from a very young age. We're bringing those thoughts back into the body and then out of the body, releasing them out. So it's more of a somatic experience to me, it sounds, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where I got stuck with the traditional psychotherapy. Was I was just talking. And all of the emotions were there and they were stuck and they didn't know how to move and shift. So the beauty of the tapping and the talking is that you're allowing the feeling to come up and then you're allowing it to shift and move. Because at the end of the day, we are just energy. That's all we are. You know, right down to the polarity of your cells, the positive, negative charge, your nervous system, what makes your heart tick and work. You're just energy. And everything that you feel is just energy. So you can throw pills at it all you want, but really we need to meet it with an energy process in order to get things to shift, right? Everything in your body flows. So do your emotions until they get stuck. And when they get stuck, we need something to move that energy. And then guess what? People say they feel lighter. They feel more open. Like, it's amazing.
Yes. Yes, I love that. And I know that, Jill, I'm going to hold this, but you are going to walk us through a whole demonstration of tapping later on in this chat. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Stay tuned, everyone that's listening. Now, tell us more, and for folks maybe who don't know as well, you know, talk about a little bit more about the BioField tuning that you do and maybe what BioField is.
Yeah. So anytime there is an electric current, so because our whole body is electric, right? Our cells are electric, our nervous system is electric, our heart has its own built-in electrical system. Anytime there's electricity, that creates a magnetic field. Okay, so some people will know it as your aura, your auric field. Some people will talk about it a little bit more sciencey as a biofield. It's this great big sphere of energy that your body emits. And within that field is all the information about you, right? That information started from the time the sperm of your dad and the egg of your mom collided, and it's like, there was this beautiful explosion. So your energy field started to create from there. And in that information, you got information from your mom, you got information from your dad. So when we, you know, came out of our mother's womb and we came into the world, we start to exhibit, or we start to produce this electromagnetic field. So what we do in BioField tuning is we use tuning forks within the fields to create coherence or an organized frequency. So anytime there's an electricity, there's waves. There's waves, which are frequency. That's all we are. And when really stressful things happen in our life, it will scramble that frequency. It's kind of like when you have a radio, well, those old school radios that had like a dial. People remember those. You know, when you're going between the stations, there's all that static. So that static is what happens within the frequency or the waves of our body. And it's like a timeline. They're like rings of a tree. So what I will do, because a tuning fork, when you hit it, a tuning fork will vibrate at a constant organized frequency. So when it comes into contact with that scrambly frequency, it'll click into it. And then we just hold the tuning fork there and we just leave it and we let it do its thing and we let it reorganize that pattern. And sometimes people, a memory will pop up for them or an emotion will come up. They might get hot, they might get cold, they might yawn, they might laugh, they might cry. And that's okay. That's just the fork finding something that was a little disorganized, and then we just reorganize it. And then what we do is we comb it with the fork and then we drop it back into the body using the chakra system, because it's all your energy. It was just kind of stuck out there in the field because it was disorganized and your body didn't know what to do with it. So with the tuning fork and it allowing it to reorganize it, the body can like have it back. It's like getting all these like battery packs back into your body, and your body's like, thank you. And that's it. It's super relaxing. And it's just using vibration, the vibration of the tuning fork, to deal with the vibration of your body. It makes sense, right? So that's BioField tuning. It doesn't involve any talking. You get to lay on a treatment table and you basically get to bathe in sound. And we just go through your field and we find what's there and we help it reorganize itself.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, as you're speaking, I'm thinking like in quantum physics terms,
Yes.
like big, on One Strange Rock, when they talk about how the actual Earth is like a sentient being, and like, the rotating axis of its metals, its internal core actually creates that magnetism, which is one thing that really helps protect us from the sun's rays.
Yep.
So interesting. Anyway, as beings on the earth, we also have these, we're like the little atoms and molecules of Mother Earth. I love that. And one more question. You mentioned Eden energy medicine as well in your biography. So what is that specifically?
So Eden energy medicine is a modality that was created by a woman. Her name is Dawn Eden. And she is clairvoyant. So she can see energy, and she's been able to see energy her entire life. So because she could see this energy, she was quite sick as a young girl. And basically the doctors wrote her off, and they're like, well, we don't know what's wrong with you. And basically, your body is dwindling. It's like becoming so sick. She had 2 daughters, and they were like, you better find someone to like raise your daughters, because, you're going to die essentially. So that sort of pushed her on her journey of self-healing, because she could see energy. And because our whole body is electromagnetic in this great big field, your hands act like magnets. My hands, everyone's hands in our bodies act like magnets. So we can move and we can shift the energy in our body that might be stuck just by where we place our hands. So Eden energy medicine is a practice of muscle testing. So testing not the muscles, but how the energy is running through the muscles, and finding stagnation, or finding points where energy might be stuck, and reconnecting it. That's basically what we do. We do it through a bunch of different systems, and it's absolutely lovely. People will come in, and we'll start with some basic, assessments, and then you just lay down on the table, and we help to move and shift the energy. And it's very specific to what the client or the patient is experiencing today. So it works on emotional stuff. It works on physical pain. It works on chronic illness. And it's the whole idea that, the body is able to heal itself, right? We don't know it. I mean, from a medicine standpoint, we understand that the body is always buffering and balancing, that it's trying to maintain that homeostasis. That's all happening on the inside. And your body wants to make you healthy. Your body doesn't want to be sick. But when the energy isn't connected, when you haven't connected all the electrical cords, it's like a Christmas tree with a bunch of strands of lights. And if you don't connect all the lights, then the whole tree doesn't light up. Your body's no different. We just go in and we find where those strands or those patterns are disconnected, and we help to reconnect them. And then when we reconnect them, then there's flow in the body. And when there's flow, energy moves. And then we're like, good, we're golden. So
golden.
Golden.
Wow. I'm loving all these analogies. I like the tree ring analogy, especially.
I'm a very visual person, and it just makes sense to me. So I hope it
does.
I
love that. Now, Jill, okay, so because this is, hard to visualize for someone who maybe can't feel or see energies, and I think this is, a skill, a language almost that we can actually learn, right?
Yep.
As you are. And as a Reiki practitioner, I know that as well. And I know that I can see energies. I just, I'm slowly starting to tap into that. But for folks who, maybe don't understand at all, or like don't know where to start or whatever, what conditions specifically have you seen that, tapping and biofield tuning and Eden energy medicine to really, really help with?
Well, from my own experience, definitely anxiety, trauma, depression, chronic pain, absolutely. And basically anything that you can feel, it will work on, because it's just energy. So people will use it on eating disorders. It's the #1 treatment for US veterans for PTSD. Oh my gosh, you can use it for like bowel irritability. You can use it for constipation, like you name it. You can use it for, I already said, trauma, be that all various forms of trauma, be that physical, emotional, psychological. Yeah, it's great to use with kids with autism who are not verbal. You don't even need to make it verbal. You just have to have them, be able to acknowledge what they're feeling and then just tap and it moves. You can use it on the elderly who have had strokes, who are nonverbal, who are aggressive, and just with their permission, they don't even need to be able to talk. All you have to do is just tap the points and allow them and encourage them to breathe. And then slowly in time, you notice that, their vitals are shifting. Their blood pressure is more regulated, or their mood, they're more alert. They smile more. They don't look grumpy and they're not sleepy all the time. They're actually awake. So there's so many cool little indicators that the body can give you other than just being able to say, I feel better. There's lots of different languages that the body has to show change in a positive way.
Wow. So good. And I, just to go on that, and because we're talking a lot about, the subtle energy bodies outside of our physical body and within our physical body, I just started a poll. So everyone who's watching, if you go to the polls section, you can actually go ahead there and vote if you like. And the question is, did you know our bodies have subtle energy fields running within and outside them? Just a yes or no poll. So go ahead and answer that. I'm curious to know because, there's always, even before I was interested and even knew about energy medicine, I didn't actually realize that there was, those subtle energy fields running outside, right next to my body. I had no kind of connection to that. How about you, Jill?
No, I didn't either. But I think we've all experienced it. We just didn't know what it was. Because I'm sure at some point, everybody has walked into a room, or you've had a conversation with somebody, or you've been standing beside them and you're just kind of like, I don't like how this feels. You can't really name it or figure out what it is, but there's just this knowing that something doesn't feel right. So right there in that moment, you're experiencing subtle energy, but you just didn't know it. Your conscious brain didn't know it. Your, subconscious energy body knew it. It's right away. You're right. It's a skill we have to learn. Yeah, it's a skill we have to learn that our conscious brain has to pick up on. And everyone's language is unique to them. And it's just a matter of experiencing it and allowing it to be there and sitting with it and then learning the language of your body, because we all experience, trauma differently. We all experience sadness differently or anxiety. It's just learning your language. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, I really like that point. And it's true as well. Even for me, I feel it through temperature. And it's not the same for everyone. Some people experience, just their hair standing on end, There's little things like that it could mean, just a thought passing through your head and then your hair stands on end. And it's oh, what is that? There's something there that has come into your conscious brain, but we still don't know how to process that. So I think it's really important to remain curious.
Yes. That's the best teacher. Honestly, just having a sense of curiosity and then just holding space in those moments. It's, there are amazingly smart people out there. And I think we have been taught that, smart people have lots of letters behind their name and they've gone to school for a really long time. But really understanding our own body and how we tick and how we feel about certain things, that's priceless. That is priceless. And that is a skill that you have the ability to tap into for yourself. We need people to help us foster that, but that's a language that's specific to you. Don't ever let anybody take that away from you. If you have a gut feeling about something, trust that. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I love that. It's so true. That gut intuition. Jill, I want to talk about this because, you mentioned at the beginning that when we're desperate, we specifically will try anything. And I want to pick that apart for a couple reasons. One, I I don't like that, the medicine that you do, specifically energy medicine, isn't necessarily the first thing that comes to mind for folks. And I want that to change.
Me too.
And two, right? And two, I think that there's a lot of usefulness in learning both, right? So you yourself, you're trained in paramedicine. You have that, emergent care and urgent care knowledge. And it's so useful for you probably to combine the two together, right? So can you, comment on the effectiveness of energy medicine techniques and tapping, and maybe, how important it is, or what you think about integrating the two kind of distinct categories of what we call medicine, like alternative plus westernized or allopathic medicine together?
Yeah. So, where to start?
It's a loaded question.
It is, but it's a great question. Like I'm not anti-medicine. If there's no amount of energy medicine that's going to put my body back together if I get hit by a bus, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that we're able to take a heart out of one body and put it in another and save someone's life, like that's beautiful. And I'm so happy that there are people that have dedicated their lives to do that. But at the end of the day, I have shifted my focus from treating symptoms into finding root causes. And I really, really believe that when we go down and we find the root cause and we pluck out that root, that is where the body can start to heal. And that's where you shift. That's where you up your vibration. That's where you really start to glow. And that takes work. There's no pill that is going to do that. And I'm so sorry to say that and crush everybody's bubble. When I was in my most desperate, I wanted that pill. I hated feeling how I felt. It was the most awful thing in the world. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but look where it got me, right? It got me into doing this work. And I'm very grateful, that what happened. And I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And I just think we've been programmed, or we've been taught to not feel. I feel anxious. Here's a pill. Just make it go away. We've been trained. You don't need to investigate the why, just take the pill. And, I think a lot of people just sort of, got like herded into that way of thinking. Like I know my parents, my dad, for example, put doctors up on pedestals, and what they said was like the honest to God truth. And you do exactly what your doctor says. But I think our generation is a little bit different, where there's like Google, right? Sometimes Dr. Google's not a good thing, but we have information at our fingertips. And I really advocate for my patients and my clients, like educate yourself. Ask these people why. Why do you want to do this to me? What's the side effect? What's the end goal? Am I going to be on this medication for the rest of my life? Or if I have this surgery, like what, I know they can't guarantee outcomes, but like, why are you wanting to do this for me? And if it doesn't resonate with you, you have the ability to say no. It's your body. Like just because they're a doctor and they've gone to school for a really long time, like awesome, I'm glad. But if it doesn't resonate with you, no. And, that's just, I really, really resonate with root cause. I don't believe our bodies are meant to be sick. I don't believe that we're meant to feel anxious or depressed. I believe that everything is changeable, that everything, can be released and reorganized in the body, and your mental health, your physical health is no different. There's some people that don't buy into that, but you have to ask yourself, does that resonate with you? And if it doesn't, go find your people. You have to go on a lot of first dates with a bunch of practitioners to see if they're your people. And that's our responsibility. We have to do that. But once you find them, I guarantee you will have the most amazing healing circle. And I'm so grateful that, it's taken me probably 4 years to find all my people, but I have them and they're there when I need them. And I need them all just at different times. So that's kind of a really long-winded answer to your question.
No, Jill, I love it because, the root cause And that shift in general, I think it's happening on a larger scale of consciousness, maybe of the new generations coming up, they're really starting to look more at how can I prevent versus how can I react.
Yep.
Right. And so our system, as you know, takes a long time to change. And so the current system, right, even we've seen it with Canada's Food Guide, took about 20 years to update. And, to make simple changes that are mind-blowing for people, right? And so we have this paradigm now that for years, generations like your parents, like my parents, my older siblings, think that dairy products are still a food group, right? When it's not the case, when you don't need that. And so there's like as we go through life, right? It's situational. It's through living that we develop these paradigms. And we also, I want to talk a little bit about because this comes up a lot in mindfulness as well, the idea of permanence and how the only constant is actually change, right? And so we go through life thinking that, we learn one fact, it has to be fact for the rest of our life, and what you're saying in terms of you go to the doctor, they say something, it doesn't jive with you. And if we believe something that we don't jive with, there's already a misalignment happening, right? So, I think belief is really important in healing. And then there's all these other aspects to it, your ability to actually change. How much of a growth mindset do you have? Carol Dweck's mindset research is really good for that. There's so many other things like your support network. There's just so many things. I don't know even where to begin or if I even covered what I was trying to say there, but
yeah, no, I love it. And I think, I think some people, I would like to think that I've always really had that open-minded growth mindset. And I think that's something that is fostered and that starts very young as a kid. It's something that we learned from our parents, depending on, what their thought process was like. So a lot of times we're just working off default programming that we got. Right. And, I've come to realize that, yes, we live here currently in, 2021, but, our ancestors came from very, very different times. And they had to live their life in order to survive. So just because, that worked for them back in the 30s or the 40s doesn't mean it works and applies to today. And I think that's where a lot of people really get stuck because, that's what their parents taught them because that's what their parents taught them. So it worked back then for them. But how is that serving you right here and now? Right? Sometimes we have to ask some really tough questions and we have to sit with it. And it's not because, we don't love our parents. They just did the best that they could. And they taught and they instilled us what they were taught. But, we are able to think for ourselves. And we just need to really sit down and be like, okay, that's what I learned. But how does that resonate with me? And if it doesn't resonate, you have the ability to choose. That's what I love about doing energy work. You have the ability to choose where this goes. I feel like Western medicine is all about taking your power away. You must do this. You must take these drugs. You must take this needle. Otherwise, I'm going to mark you as non-compliant and it's all going to be your fault. And it's
disempowering.
It's totally disempowering, and I see how people get stuck because if you came from that upbringing about everybody taking your power away, it just digs you deeper, deeper, deeper down in the hole. And it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't at all. Everybody has a choice. And I love energy medicine for that because you get to be your own healer. You get to be the one that changes and shifts your body. And you get to take all that credit. Nobody else.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Take back your power.
Yes. Yes. I'm totally on that train these days. Even with my patients at work, I'm like, Like, how does what they said resonate with you? Like, you know, I say to them, like, there's lots of other doctors. If you don't like what this one's saying, go get another opinion.
Yeah.
You know, but they think that they can't, like they're trapped. And I'm like, absolutely you can. It's your body. You always have a choice. And anybody who takes away your choice, for me, they're not my people. They are not my people. If you take away my choice, thank you very much for your time. See you later.
Yes. Give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jill, it's been amazing. I have a few more questions, but I know I'm going to ask you to do this tapping demonstration because I love tapping. I've done it myself. I've actually had a session with Jill and it was amazing. Such an incredibly life-changing experience, literally. I was like bawling in the middle of it. It was amazing. Such a good release. So what we'll do is the demonstration. Then Jill has a little offer for you folks as well, and then we'll open up the floor for any questions. Okay. So Jill, take it away. Kind of lead us through this emotional freedom technique.
All right. So what I want you to do is just grab a pen and a paper, just something you can jot something down on. Just even like a Post-it note is perfect.
Okay.
Make sure you have that handy. Okay. So for those who've never tapped before, I'll quickly show you the points. I'll talk you through them as we get doing it. But we start at the inside where the eyebrows start. And then we go to the outside of the eye, just on the bone. And then we go underneath the eyes on the cheekbone. And then we come to this space between our nose and our top lip. And then we come in this little space between the bottom lip and the chin. And then we come just underneath the collarbones on either side of your sternum, which is the bone in the middle. And then we come underneath our arm. So it's a couple inches under your armpit, or ladies, it's where your bra might sit. Okay, so those are the main tapping points. You have meridians that run on both sides of your body. So you can start tapping on the right side and then you could cross over to the left. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can tap totally on one side. You can tap on both sides. It doesn't matter. The only thing you need to remember is just to tap and to breathe, okay? Because as we get opening up stuff and releasing stuff in the body, it creates space, and we need the breath to help it move through that space, okay? And the golden rule is if a really uncomfortable emotion comes up, keep tapping, okay? I like to use the analogy of, like, you know, a surfer riding like a really, really rad wave. And if Mother Nature like paused the wave, the surfer would be like, ah, and go, and he would like fall to this really probably
so keep tapping.
Splash. Yeah. So keep tapping. Okay. Remember, everything about us is waves of frequency. So we're riding that uncomfortable wave until it calms back down. Okay.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is just close your eyes for a second and just notice whatever it is you're sitting on and how that feels on your seat. And let all the muscles of your face relax, especially the muscles around your eyes. Good. And then I just want you to notice how the body feels. Right? Notice if there's a pain anywhere, or, you know, if there's something emotional that you've been working on or that's coming up for you. I want you to just notice it. And then I want you to give it a number. So we use a scale of 0 to 10. So 0 is no pain, no emotional upset, and 10 is like really, really bad and uncomfortable. So whatever it is you're feeling, just give it a number, 0 to 10. And trust the first number that pops up for you. Okay. All right. And then all I want you to do is close your eyes again. You're going to drop back in and allow yourself to feel that thing, that pain, that feeling. And then I just want you to bring your fingertips up to the insides of your eyebrows. And you're just going to start to tap really, really gently. Okay. I want you to be aware of your thing, but I don't want you to attach to it. Just, it's there. Okay. And take a nice, slow breath in. And then a big breath out. Good. And then come to the side of your eye. You're just aware that you've got this thing. And it's totally okay for it to be there. And then come underneath your eyes. You can keep your eyes open or your eyes closed. It doesn't matter. And then I want you to direct your breath, and I want you to breathe in front of that feeling and behind that feeling. Just allowing your breath to open and expand that space around it. And down to the collarbones. Okay. So you're just allowing it to be there. You know it's there. You're like, cool, I'm just going to tap. Keep breathing. And come underneath your arm. And then see if you can breathe some space above and below this feeling. Like you're inflating a big balloon around it. And then just see where it wants to go. And just let it go there. And just keep tapping. And combine back up to the eyebrows. If you want, you can just say in your mind's eye, this feeling inside of your eye. This thing that I feel under your eyes. And just gently tapping. And remember to breathe. And underneath the nose. And sometimes it might feel really good to stay on a particular tapping point and stay there. Stay there for as long as you want. Okay? Until your body feels like it wants to move. And then collarbones. And then back under the arm. Great. Good. And then you can just stop tapping and just close your eyes. Drop back into that feeling that you started with. And when you just notice how your body feels. And see if you can give that feeling a number. See if your number shifted for you. How's everybody feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Amazing. So I really, really like to do this before meditating because, you know, we all know we close our eyes, we go to meditate and your brain's like, oh, the grocery list. And I got to clean the bathroom today. And oh my God, when's that appointment I made? Like, it's like the monkey mind. But I find just a couple of rounds, like you don't even have to, you just tap. Just tap and breathe, and it just allows that subtle energy to settle. And the places that my meditation can go to, it's like this lovely little hack that I discovered. But it's not really like a hack. You're just learning to settle that energy in the body. So yeah,
that's
and
really
that's
nice,
basically,
Jill.
yeah, that's basically what we do. So that is a very indirect technique. When we work one-on-one, we create a dialogue. And we'll talk, but we just use that number scale, and we want to get those numbers down as low as, you know, people feel comfortable with.
How's everyone feeling? Yeah, nice. Feeling great.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to just mention with those points, there is, you know, usually a script, or is it just like, can folks actually just do that as well without saying anything?
So you don't need to say anything, which is the beauty of that technique. Drop into what you're feeling and just tap. Just tap and breathe until that feeling lessens to a point where it feels better, right? And then when you work one-on-one with a practitioner, we'll create some dialogue. And basically we create an intention statement. You know, even though I'm feeling sad, I deeply and completely accept myself and how I feel. And then we get really specific. This sad feeling. this sad feeling. We go really, really in, and then I'll just scoot in some questions to see if I can find the root of the sadness. And then it's my job as your practitioner is to help you find that root. And then we just kind of take it out. And then we fill it with what we want. And we do that through just a visualization, a guided visualization. It's remarkably, the tool is very simple. The work sometimes doesn't feel the nicest, but that's what it is to be human. Unfortunately, we got to feel it all. We got to feel the good stuff and the not so good stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely what the expansion is. And I love that, you have to really feel like, think of a butterfly or a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. You have to really like make your cocoon, and you have to sit in that goo, and it doesn't feel good, and you probably think you're going to die, and that's just how it is. And then all of a sudden one day it's like, oh, I can just punch myself out of this. And then you just start peeling back the layers, and then you can fly.
Yeah. And then, that's the really cool thing that happens is as your body starts to become more familiar with tapping, you get this sense of trust. And it's like, okay, I started with a 10 on 10 anxiety. And by the end of my session, I'm down to like a 2, right? So wow. It gives you that sense of, power is like, wow, if I could shift that myself, it makes going into all the other stuff that feels maybe a little bit worse or the same, it gives you this confidence to go into it, because it's like, I know it's there, but I know that I can do something to make it feel better in like an hour.
Yes.
Right? How many like psychotherapists can say that? Right? Like, I don't know. To each their own. That wasn't my experience. Maybe other people did have that experience, and that's awesome. But at the end of the day, we just all want to feel better, right? We all have shit. I want you to help me work on my shit so I feel better.
Yeah. Bring it to the table, see what you can do, and work together. And Jill, that was amazing. We'll have some time for questions. And I just want to say before we go into question period, just head on down to the offers section. I just made the offer live. Jill has graciously given everyone here a video, which she calls Tapping into Freedom. Your future self is literally at your fingertips. Mm-hmm. I love that. So that's a free video resource for you folks. Go ahead and download that to take anywhere with you, and, do it on the spot when you're having anxiety or pain or whatever else. I love that. And so is there at this point any other questions that folks have that are tuning in tonight? Anything that is, you can get specific. If you'd like, you can actually ask just me. You can send your question to the admin only, and then I can ask it for you if you want to remain anonymous. And folks who are watching the replay of this specific replay in Webinar Jam, so those folks who registered and couldn't make it tonight, you actually can use the chat, and the question will get emailed to me, so I can ask Jill if I don't know the answer.
Absolutely.
And I have one final question as well, Jill. What inspires you?
What inspires me? I love people like yourself who just speak their truth. Right? People who are curious and just want to better themselves. Really, that is totally what inspires me. I love authentic people. I love people who speak their truth, and people who teach from a place of like just love and respect, and who just want to do better by the world. That's truly what inspires me. And I love learning. Oh my God, I love learning new things, and I love meeting new people who, teach from their heart and teach what they love. Yeah, that's me.
Wow, I love that. Jill, how can folks contact you?
Yeah, so my website is probably the easiest place to find me. It's jillferras.com. I am on Instagram as well. I'm on Facebook. So drop me a message however you need to. Email is good. My email's on my website. It's just jillferrascoaching@gmail.com. And yeah, I'm open to any questions. Like, if you're curious about a session, you don't know what it looks like, just let's have a conversation about it. I could talk about this stuff all day long. So yeah, I'm open to any conversations, any questions.
I love that. And so I just put Jill's website in the comments. It's Jill with a J, and Ferras is spelled FERRAS.com.
Yep.
Perfect. I'm not seeing any questions come in. Folks, if you have more questions, as always, my contact. Now you have Jill's contact. You can reach me on Instagram at @TheErinEdwards. And that's also my website.com. I also just started a Patreon page. So that's some sort of like a blog, but it's a tiered system. So if you love the work that I'm doing and want to support me financially, because right now Reawaken Co. is the only person, Erin is the only person that is working for Reawaken Co. So that's a way to actually sponsor me. And go ahead before you leave and grab Jill's offer, her video, Tapping into Freedom. This has been lovely, Jill. Any last words for us?
Just thank you so much for creating this platform. I think, we need more people like you who, share the alternative stuff, which I hope, it is becoming more mainstream. So, thank you for making that accessible to people. And thank you for everybody for taking time and
stay on Inspiring Insights, hosting amazing practitioners that can make the world of difference in your life. So thank you again, Jill Ferras. This has been episode 19 of Inspiring Insights.